I'm Hannah Lennox, and I'm 19 years old, and I'm from Lansing, New York.
And how does it feel to know that your illness is invisible, basically?
Hi everyone, what you're about to watch was filmed before I had a double lung transplant. I'm Temtchine, I'm a singer and a songwriter, and for the past 12 years I've been living with pulmonary hypertension. It's a true miracle that I'm alive today. I created Super Brave Kids because I believe that children who are living with chronic health conditions have the answers to some of life's most challenging questions, which is why I call this series of interviews Life Lessons from Super Kids. Join us as we interview kids from all over the world who have one thing in common. They're all superheroes disguised as kids. Please help me welcome today's guest.
Obviously, you contacted us because you're dealing with a lot, it sounds like. So
Yeah.
I'd love to just get a sense of what you're dealing with regard to your health.
Yeah, so I was a pretty healthy teenager up until I was 15 when I got a really bad kidney infection and landed me in the hospital. And we think that triggered some of my autoimmune and chronic fatigue syndrome conditions. So I never really recovered after that. My energy level just went downhill. A year after that, I got diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder called Ankylosing spondylitis, which attacks my spine mostly and my hips, but it affects all my joints. And after that, I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and I still have a lot of other undiagnosed stuff. I just had a an echocardiogram today to see about, because I guess my pulmonologist is just checking out similar things to what you have. So
that's what I remember in your email. You said that they're thinking that there's a possibility, but obviously hoping not. So do you think that all of these conditions kind of stemmed from this original kidney condition that you had?
I'm thinking so. I mean, I was pretty healthy. I had energy, like everything else was, like I wasn't in pain or anything. That was kind of like the tipping point, I guess. Maybe there were other things leading up to it, but also autoimmune's run in my family, so I guess it could have just triggered it.
How does that feel to have chronic fatigue syndrome? I always wonder, like, how do you know that's what's going on?
So it's really hard because there's not like a specific set of like symptoms, but I guess it feels just like fatigued all the time. Like I never feel completely rested. I have about 3 to 4 hours a day where I can actually get stuff done and concentrate. But like besides that, I don't have much energy.
What do you think the hardest condition to deal with is in terms of the ones that you have? Usually
it's my chronic fatigue syndrome. But then on really high pain days, I would say my autoimmune disorder. So I guess and sometimes I'd say both. I guess it depends on like which ones feels more controlling at that time. But most of the time it's the chronic fatigue syndrome.
And is there anything that can be done for that?
There's not really standard treatment. There's not a lot of like even knowledge. For a long time, some doctors and some medical personnel thought that it wasn't even like a real condition, that it was all, I don't know.
You're just tired. Yeah. So for somebody, again, like myself, I don't know what you deal with. I only know what I deal with. So what is it like to be you, essentially, is the question.
So I am in pain 24/7. It doesn't really it doesn't go away at any time usually. There's better times than others. Like in the morning I get really stiff, and that's one of the harder times. But fatigue-wise, I do better in the morning, so it's kind of weird. It's like my pain is worse in the morning, but my fatigue's better in the morning. My pain's worse in the morning and my fatigue's better in the morning. So I got a tattoo, and then when I got my tattoo,
you're like, whatever.
Yeah, my friend who was getting it was like all teary-eyed, which I'm just because like everyone's so different.
And what is your biggest fear?
Probably not being able to accomplish all the things that I want to accomplish in life. I mean, like going to college, getting a job, things like that.
And what would hold you back from accomplishing them?
2 things probably. Probably my mindset, because I get anxious and worked up about it, and that could hold me back, but also my illnesses themselves. I feel like if I got more sick or if things went downhill, they could probably impact those things.
Do you think the anxiety is making the health situation worse?
My anxiety makes my fatigue definitely worse. Like, it drains me.
How do you deal with your anxiety?
I'd say there's some different components for me that
Mhm.
helped me. One is counseling. I'm not afraid to say that. I go to counseling, and it's super helpful. And then another is the chronic illness community, like the online support groups, and I have a ton of chronic illness friends who have friends who have chronic illnesses.
Mhm.
And so I guess those two things definitely help me get myself into a better mental
The
state.
support. Do you live in more appreciation or more in fear?
Or appreciation
And what is your appreciation for?
for everything I do have instead of everything that I've lost. So, like a wonderful family, medical care, school, my pets, my friends, my support system.
If you could change one thing in your life, what would it be?
I would change other people about how they perceive or have different ideas in their head already about illnesses or disabilities, and change the way they look at them or have different ideas already. I would like to have them more of a positive outlook on disabilities and illnesses versus a more negative and feeling like some people feel, I can see it when they feel totally not guilty, but really, really bad. And I don't necessarily always want them to feel bad for me.
Yeah, so you feel certain pity and you're like, don't do that. Yeah, I know what you mean. I've had those smiles in the street where they're like,
Yeah.
it's like that half smile where they're like, I'm sorry you're going through this. And I forget. And I'm like, wait, why? What happened?
Yeah.
Did I do something? So you would want them to just kind of treat you as if there was no health challenge.
Right. And I think sometimes if I'm using my wheelchair or something, people will just go even further around and just treat me as a person. I'm not going to run you over, don't worry.
The superpowers that you've discovered, what would you say they are?
Super compassion.
Yes.
And I think I said strength, but I don't want it to be muscle strength. I want it to be mind strength.
How about, does bravery sound good?
Yeah, that works.
So if you had any name that you could pick from the entire world to be your superhero name, what would it be? No pressure.
Something purple.
Wonder Purple. No,
There you
I don't.
go.
You like that?
Wonder Purple. Yeah, I like that.
Wonder Purple? What's some advice you could give to someone else who's going through a difficult time?
Don't be afraid to advocate for yourself. Even when you feel like people aren't listening or you're not feeling validated, definitely you have a right to advocate for yourself. And don't be afraid to ask for help when needed. I sometimes feel more alone than I really am. And so knowing that there are people out there who care about you, and even if you don't think so, just remember that there are.